Fire style. Everlasting boy.
What's going on, y'all? We are back with an updated audio modding tutorial for Marvel Rivals. This is going to be using the latest version of my tool, and hopefully this is the last time I need to make a video. So I'm gonna make a few points and then we're gonna get into it. Number one, this guide is for sound effects and voices, not music. So if you want to change the main menu music or the music that plays on a map, this is not the guide for that. Now, if you want to change the MVP theme or Luna's Ultimate or the sound of your character shooting, or maybe the voice line your character says when that garbage Spider-Man dies on your team, then you can do that and more if you follow this guide. Number two, I'm going to show you how I mod audio. If somebody else does it differently, we do not care. Number three, pay attention to what I do.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
I highly recommend you follow the example steps that I do in the video so you can see everything working on your computer and understand the workflow, and then after that, go ahead and do your own thing. Number four, the links will be in the description for any tools and websites that you need, to get things done. Number five, any kind of important updates I have will be at the very top of the description. And number six, please join the Discord if you need help. Putting your issue in the YouTube comment section 9 times out of 10 is not going to be enough. All right, if you're running into errors and all type of stuff, I'm gonna need to see screenshots of it. We got to go into detail. I got to provide real-time feedback instead of me replying 3 days later, that type of deal. So please just join the Discord, bro. The way this video will be set up is in the first half, I'm going to show you how to make the example mod where pretty much everything is done and logged and all that stuff already. So it's going to be really easy. And then in the second half, I'm going to go into more detail about more complicated steps, other features of the tool, etc., etc. I am going to talk kind of slow and elaborate so people really understand what's going on. So if you're a fast learner, please watch the video at 1.5 times speed or something like that. If you think I chit chat too much or make too many jokes,
We do not care.
that's too damn bad. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, go to the SoundKit MR GitHub page and download the latest version of the tool. Now, as of 4 minutes ago, the latest version is 2.0.0. So we're gonna scroll down until we see the assets, and you see SoundKit MR version blah 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 .zip. Go ahead and click on that. Save as. I'm gonna put it in my little Rivals test folder here, and we're gonna save it. Now every update is gonna have a change log section, and that's pretty much gonna tell you what is new in the latest version. Obviously 2.0.0 has a lot that is new, but you're watching the video, so you don't really gotta worry about this. So now I'm gonna go to my folder. I'm going to right click the SoundKit MR 2.0.0 zip and do extract all, and then hit extract. Alright, a folder popped up. We can go ahead and close this window on the side, and we can delete the .zip because we don't need it no more. Now I'm going to erase this part of the name. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing it myself for my own reasons. And then we're going to move on. We're going to go to the Fmodel website. Again, link is in the description. And we're going to hit the purple download now button. It's going to take you to the screen. I'm going to do save as, and I'm going to put it in the little tutorial stuff folder that I had before. And then minimize that. From here, I'm going to go back to that folder. You see fmodel.zip is what I just downloaded. I'm going to right click and hit extract all. I'm going to extract. And you're going to see this fmodel.exe. I'm just going to drag it back in here, close this, and I can delete this folder and this .zip because I don't need it no more. Now we're going to double click fmodel.exe, and when you first open it up, you might see a little pop-up like this: a new update is available. Go ahead and download the latest release. If you do not see this, the first thing you need to do is go to help, releases, and then download the latest release. You always want to be on the latest release. If you're on an outdated one, some files might not work right, and stuff like that. So download latest release, click yes, let that join download, yes, and then it's going to restart. Boom. So when you first set up Fmodel, you're probably not going to see any files on the left side right here. So go to Settings, and for Output Directory, click the three little dots, and you just want to make an output folder. So I'm going to go back to my little tutorial thing. I already made this output folder here because I had to record this like 30 times. But yeah, so make one, select it, boom. Now for Archive Directory, click the three little dots again, and then go to Steam, find your game, Marvel Rivals, right click, manage, browse local files. Now go to Marvel Game, Marvel, Content, Packs, and then up at the top in the URL, click it, press Ctrl C to copy, minimize that. Up here, Ctrl V to paste, press enter, and it's going to take you right to the folder you need to be. Now down at UE versions, when you first boot up, Fmodel, it's probably going to be something different. Just type MARV, Marvel, and you're going to see Game Marvel Rivals UE53. Go ahead and click that. And then for local mapping file, might be disabled. Make sure it is enabled. All right. And then for mapping file path, click the three little dots, and then go to the SoundKit mod folder. The SoundKit folder. And then in the 3 extra folder, you're going to see this .usmap file. Go ahead and click on that, and you should be good. Now, I believe that USMap file is updated after every game update. So if I do not have the latest version in there, you can go to the Marvel Rivals Discord, go to Mod Documentation, Info and Overview, and then scroll down to Mapping File, Season 3, Season 4, whatever you're on. Click it, and it'll take you to the page where all the mapping files are posted, and you can just download it from here too. Alternatively, you can go to the Fmodel Discord, go to Game Compatibility, scroll down till you see the Marvel Rivals section right here, and then in the comments you're probably going to see this Aeon Lucid dude, or somebody else post the latest version of the US map file, so you can download it from here as well. Now you can go ahead and press OK. Now for you, Fmodel might need to restart. I already have mine set up, so it doesn't need to. But after it restarts, go back to settings and double check that everything is how you set it to be. So make sure this is the right directory, make sure this is the right archive, make sure this is the right, game Marvel Rivals UE version, make sure this is enabled, etc., etc. The reason I'm saying this is because a lot of the times if you set something up, Fmodel will forget one of these settings and you got to do it a second time. So double check, make sure everything correct, press OK again, and then go to directory AES. Now there's going to be a key here that you need to input. I'm going to, if you check the SoundKit folder, Rivals SoundKit 3 extra, there's going to be this Fmodel AES key.txt. Open it up, and then copy this number, copy that, like that, and then we can go ahead, paste it in there, and then press OK. Obviously I already have mine in there, but yours is going to be blank, so press OK. And then these should turn green. You might need to restart. Go ahead and do that. At this point, you should see all the files on this left side, and they should all be green. If they're not green and if they're still red, either your Fmodel version is outdated or you missed a step and you need to run it back. Sorry. The rest of us that made it, make sure loading mode is set to all and click load. And now double click Marvel and double click Content, and now left click localization one time, and then right click and go to Save Folders Package Properties JSON. All right, let it load for a little bit, and then you're going to see down at the bottom it says successfully saved Marvel content localization. Cool. Now go to the Wise audio folder, click it so the drop down comes out, and then left click the media folder one time, and then right click export folders packages raw data UAsset. All right, and this is a lot of files, might need some time to cook. Hey, let the chef do his thing, and boom, now you see successfully exported blah 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 blah. Now go to the Marvel folder and then scroll all the way down to Wise. Okay, now left click one time, then right click it, and go to Save Folders, Packages, Properties, JSON. Now this one might take a little bit longer than the other two. Again, let the chef cook.
All I'm gonna say is I have yet to run into a competent Spider-Man in Quick Play, okay? All of my Spider-Man teammates, stupid, garbage, trash, the worst people I ever played with in my life, okay? No comms, no nothing, no...
All right, so, okay, so, you know, it completed. And now what we're going to do is select one of these highlighted links down here where it says successfully exported. And it's going to automatically open up the output folder that you made. So I click it and boom, tutorial stuff, output, we are here. So now I'm gonna minimize this, move this to the side a little bit, and we're going to go to exports, Marvel, content. And now we see all the folders that we extracted from. Now down in our SoundKit folder, going to click on that, go to SMTMR, go to 0 extra, 0 CVS, and you see there's a folder right here that says put media local wise here. So what we're going to do is put the localization folder in there. We're going to open up the wise audio folder and put media in there. Going to go back, go to Marvel, and put the wise folder in there. Simple, 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 simple. Now before we get started on anything, I'm going to show you that the file path to my tools, there are no spaces in any of the folder names. So let me just go all the way back. So Rivals Test, no spaces in the name. SoundKit MR, no spaces. SMTMR, no spaces, no spaces, no spaces, no spaces. I've had people come to me before with my old tools saying that, you know, they got errors and stuff. Come to find out the issue was that there were spaces in the folder path. So make sure there are no spaces, no exclamation marks, no dollar signs, no emojis, no crazy stuff in the folders. All right, letters, numbers, underscores, hyphens. Keep it simple, please. Now in this folder, you're going to see a run me in PowerShell CVS.ps1 file. If you do not see the .ps1 at the end, go to the internet, type how to view file extensions, and then follow the directions for your OS version. So Windows 10, Windows 11, whatever. Now at this point, you should be able to see the .ps1 at the end. So now right click this file and do run with PowerShell. It's going to open up a blue window like this. You're going to see options, words, letters, all that jazz. Now, if you did do that, run with PowerShell, and it just like opened up a quick blue window and then it closed real fast, then try double clicking this double-click CVS.bat file down here. It's going to do the exact same thing. It's just going to be in a black window. Now, if you did that and got the same type of issue, you know, the window popped up and then closed real fast, you're going to want to copy the full name of the PS1 file, including the PS1 at the end. Go up here, type PowerShell, hit enter, and then do period, /paste, and then press enter. Now, for me, it's going to work, obviously, but if you were getting an error, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see some red text, you know, that pops up here, and it's going to say something about an execution policy. Now, what you're going to want to do is go to the internet and then Google how to change execution policy PowerShell. And you're going to follow the directions, you know, for your OS version. What you want to set it to is unrestricted. All right. Then once you do that, go ahead and again, right click the PS1 file, do run with PowerShell, and it should work this time. Maybe you had to, you know, restart your computer. I don't know. I haven't did it in eons, bro. If you don't feel comfortable having it on unrestricted the whole time, then you can do what you got to do with the tool and then go back to the internet, follow the directions, and put it back on restricted. Just keep in mind, you're probably going to have to put it back onto unrestricted every time you want to use, you know, one of the PS1 files. Now, like I said, the first half of this video is going to be simple, me just going through the steps. If you are nosy, if you're a nerd, if you want to know extra details, I'll explain everything going on here in the second half of the video. For now, just type 100 and press enter. And we're going to let that rock. It's going to take about 20 or so minutes. We're just going to minimize this and move on to the next step. Now for the next step, we're going to download Foobar. So you see latest stable version. It says download Foobar. I'm going to click the 64-bit version. Go ahead and save as. I'm going to go back to my little test folder. I'm going to make a folder called Foobar. Foobar woohoo. Boom. And I'm going to put this in there. And then we're going to download the VG Stream decoder. Again, all the links will be in the description. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Download. Save as. Put it in that same little Foobar folder. Bada boom, bada bing. Now I'm going to go navigate to that folder where we downloaded Foobar at. Foobar woohoo. And I'm going to double click Foobar 2000 exe. Click next. I agree. We're going to do a portable installation. Next, pick destination folder. I'm going to just take it back to that same little Foobar woohoo. Yes, sir. Select folder. Next, install, and boom. And click finish with the run Foobar checked. It's going to automatically open up. Cancel this. Now, when you download it, it might be white. I changed mine to the dark theme. So yeah, go to File, Preferences, and in Components, go to Install. And now you want to look for that component thing that we downloaded. So Foobar woohoo, there it is. VG Stream FB2K component. Gonna click Apply, press OK to restart, and then you are good to go and you can X this out. Now let me check on the script. It's still going, so we go look at some other stuff in the meantime. If we head on over to the internet, we will come across the Marvel Rivals audio spreadsheet. Now the point of the spreadsheet is to list all of the voice lines, the files that those voice lines are in, and then the file that contains all of those files for every character.
What?
In addition to voices, we have some sound effects and, you know, MVP themes and all that stuff. We have some of those listed as well. So this is the information page. You can read this if you want to, but I'm just gonna skip past it right quick and go to Luna's page. Okay, so Luna has 3 pages. Okay, the Luna VO, that's for her voice lines. Luna SFX, that's for her sound effects. And Luna Display, this is like MVP themes, emotes, and, you know, etc. So I'm gonna go to the voice page, and then as you can see in the C column is the voice lines. So everything she says in the game. Chincha, no healing, no more Ankh, Anyang. I'm actually disappointed in the lack of Korean. She doesn't really have that much Korean lines, but anyways, Control F, ready to put, and boom, you can see I'm ready to put on the show. All right, so this is the voice line, and then in the B column, this is the name of the file that contains this voice line. So in this file, we're going to hear I'm ready to put on the show. All right, and that's the case for all these voice lines and files, etc., etc. And then if we look in the A column, this file here, bank VO 1031 blah blah blah, this contains all of these files. All right, I know I said I wasn't going to explain a lot in the first half of the video, but I'm just killing some time until the script finishes. But yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of how this spreadsheet is, you know, laid out. If we go to the SFX tab, it's pretty empty. I found out a new way to fill this up with, you know, information, but I'm not gonna talk about that right now. So yeah, same deal. A column is the file that contains all of the files in the B column, and then in the B column you see, you know, the name of the file, and then to the right, because this is sound effects, there's no voice lines in here, so the C column is now called events. And for this file, the event that plays is the reload. If you play Luna Snow, you know her reload is like
okay.
Let me stop, but yeah, you get the idea, bro. And if we scroll down further, yeah, you see this is the file for the ultimate soundtrack. Somebody's already here, Anonymous Chipmunk. Yeah, he's checking that out right now. You probably putting a crazy on the alt again for the billionth time. Everybody loves La Seraphim crazy on Luna alt. I mean, it's not bad, but come on, bro. Everybody's done it. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that. Luna Display, not really going to get too much into this, but the same deal. The main file that contains all these other files. Ooh, quick note, I want to point this out right now, and I'm going to keep repeating it as the video goes. There is a B column for hex numbers. Do not use this. Just don't use it. It says don't use it. I'm going to leave it at that. Don't use it. Use this column instead. But yeah, so default MVP soundtrack, default emote in a match, and then a default emote in the heroes tab. There is a difference. You can make 2 separate songs on both of those. But yeah, let me just minimize this. You get the idea. I have NPCs in here, general sounds. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into this, but yeah, so it is finished. You can see at the bottom it says voice swapping completed successfully. Press enter to continue. You can do that if you want to. Go back to the main menu, doesn't matter. We're gonna minimize this and go back to the CVS folder. So SoundKit, SMT, Extra, CVS. And in here, you're gonna see 3 new folders if you did option 100. We're not gonna worry about these 2. Just gonna take a quick peek inside of this 2 renamed Wems folders. I ain't really gotta go into too many details, but you click on the language that you're working with. Most of it's gonna be English. And then you'll see every character organized by their character ID number. So the ID number for the Hulk is 1011. Speaking of the Hulk, he is split into 3. So Hulk Banner, this is all of Banner's voice lines. Hero Hulk, that's all of like the regular Hulk's voice lines. And then Monster Hulk, this is the voice lines for when the Hulk pops his ult and he turns like big or whatever. That's all his voice lines. But continuing, 1014 is the Punisher's ID number. 1018, I actually don't know why Doctor Strange is split into 2. I don't know what this 800 means, but yeah, we're just gonna ignore that. Cloak and Dagger are also split up, so Cloak and Dagger, but both of their IDs is still 1025. And then Luna is 1031. So yeah, I'm not gonna explain too much. That's pretty much the case for these other language folders as well. So you ain't really gotta worry about any like differences really in the structure. In the display folder is all of like the emote and like MVP and like miscellaneous kinda. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like it's display stuff, like what you're displaying. Like if you're in a match and you hit an emote, you're like displaying something. You get what I'm saying? Is it making sense? Like is it clicking?
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you.
But anyways, yeah, this is organized by costume. Obviously, because different costumes have different MVP themes and different emotes and all that jazz. Luna Snow's in here. The default costume, Shining Star, Me-Day, Cool Summer. Actually, let me click in one of these and go to the MVP. Now, so in here, you see a .wem file. Now, usually, this cannot play with the default Windows Media Player. This is why we downloaded Foobar, okay? So you have to right-click this file, go to Properties, and go to Foobar 2000. Well, where it says open with, and change it. I already have it set up, obviously. Change it, go down to more apps, and look for another app on this PC. And then I'm gonna go down to where I downloaded Foobar at. So tutorial stuff, Foobar woohoo, exactly. And then Foobar 2000. And then hit apply and press OK. So now when I play this, when I double click it, all right, this other file, I think it's like the waves in the background, like the sound effect of like the waves and all that stuff while she's doing a little MVP surf animation. But yeah, so you get the idea. All right, let me get up out of here because yeah, first halfers don't need to know too much information. Sorry guys. So this SMT folder is like the main workhorse for like creating the modded file that we need. The CVS folder, all that stuff, that was just like the setup. But once you do it one time, you don't really got to worry about that folder again, especially you first halfers. All right,
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
y'all can stay here after you do that. The next step is to convert our custom audio to a .wem format. All right, now I'm gonna just right click this and go to where I put my little stash. All right, example mods to install. Boom, I have 7 files. Yo, I'm coming back with an edit right quick. If you want to use the same exact files that I use for my example, go to your SoundKit folder, go to 3 extra, and you can find them in this example mod files folder. Okay, all of them are going to be in here. Keep in mind these are .wave files, they have to be .wave in order to be converted to a WEM file. All right. For those of you still chewing crayons, if you have if you have an MP3 file, bro, changing this to .wave, like just typing it out, that's not going to work. Okay, stop drinking the glue. Go to Google, type MP3 to WAV converter, or if you got a program that does it, put your files in there, convert it to a proper WAV file, and then we can proceed, bro. Because I done seen some.
I'm not gonna say what race, what people.
Come on, bro. Come on, humanity. Come on, y'all. But anyways, when you have your WAV files, you're going to copy them into the folder that says, oop, that's a shortcut. Copy them into the folder that says put custom waves here. I know y'all can read. Hey, I can read too. It says put custom waves here. So what you're gonna do is put the custom wave there. Now we're going to open the run me in PowerShell SMT PS1 script like we did for the last script, just like that. There's a bunch of stuff in here, but we in the first half of the video, so I ain't really gotta explain too much. Just press 0 and hit enter. We're gonna let it cook for a little bit, put a little seasoning on that joint, and boom, success, created 7 WEM files. Now, if we check in the to put custom WEMs here folder, you're going to see all those WAV files were converted to .wem. Now let me play one of the WAV files, the custom WAV files I had.
Reloading.
All right, I just added reloading on top of her, default reloading sound effect. And the WEM file,
Reloading.
boom, it's the same thing. So it successfully converted from WAV to WEM. Luckily for me and all of you first halfers that's following along, everything that we want is already listed on the spreadsheet. All right, so the Luna's, her voice for the ultimate, her voice line for the ultimate, the sound effect for the ultimate, the reload, all that stuff is already there. So we're going to go to the internet, all right, and on the spreadsheet we're going to look for Luna VO, right? That's her voice page. And now I already got it typed in, but if you know like what the character says, you can press Control F, search up whatever phrase it is, and ready to put on a show, it'll take you right to it. All right, so I see ready to put on a show, and in the B column I see a file name. I'm going to copy this file name and I'm going to replace my custom file with this name. So Luna voice alt.wem, I'm going to replace all that with what I got off the spreadsheet. So these numbers and all that extra stuff, right? Now that's just the first part of what you have to do. The second part is to go back to the A column, because remember I told y'all that this file contains all of these files. So we need to find this file in Fmodel and extract it. So copy that whole name, open up Fmodel, make sure this is on all, load. I usually just click in one folder and then I press Control, Shift, and F. That'll allow you to search for anything in all the game files, right? So I press Control V to paste that name that I got out the spreadsheet, bank VO 1031 blah 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 bank. And now when I press enter, I see 3 files. One is Japanese, one is English, one is Chinese. Now I'm playing the game with the English settings, like with the English voices. So I'm going to click on this file, right? And it's going to take me straight to it. And from here, I right click and I do export raw data bank. Boom. And I get my little highlighted successfully exported thing down here. We are good to go. Now I'm going to click that highlighted, bank VO. It's going to open up my export folder, minimize this. And I'm going to see that it exported bank VO, blah, 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 blah. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to back out and go to put original banks here. And I'm going to drag that into this folder. All right. And now you just continue this process for any other, files that you have. So we did the Luna voice, and now we want to do the ultimate soundtrack, the little SFX. So we go back to the spreadsheet, we go to her SFX tab, and we look for the ultimate soundtrack. And there it is. So ultimate soundtrack, that's this number. Copy that. Go back to our custom files, Luna SFX alt. I'm going to replace that number. And then I'm going to look in the A column, right? And what file is there? Bank SFX, and then the 1031 and all that jazz. Don't copy this default costume part. You just need the file name. All right. Then what we're going to do We're going to go back to Fmodel, type it into the search bar, press enter, and now you see that there's 2 of them. So I'm going to, oops, I'm going to click one of them, and it's going to take me to where that file is located. Now here is an issue, right? We got 2 of these files. They're not in any kind of like Chinese or Japanese folder. It's all in one folder. So you might be asking, oh, which one do I choose? If you notice, when I click on one of them, if you look in the bottom left, it'll change. Now this one says patch windows down here, and this one says pack chunk wise. You want to choose the file that says patch. That's because this patch is an update file. So that means that this is the most up-to-date version of this file. The one that says pack chunk, that is old. All right, so you want to grab the one that says patch down here. So I'm gonna right click, export raw data bank, and boom, we get our little successfully exported thing. It's gonna take us right to where it was exported. We're gonna go to the original banks folder and just drag that in there. Simple, man. Simple, simple, simple. All right, if you're following along, ain't no way you get stuck, bro. No way. Take the glue out your, you know what, let me stop, bro. Let me stop. All right, so what's next? The reload. Okay, the reload is next. That's also on the SFX page. And boom, there's a number right there. We are good to go. Replace our custom name with that number. And because we already have that SFX bank file in here, we don't need to extract it again. All you need is one. So go back here. And now what's next is the MVP theme for the default costume. So let me go to Luna's display tab because that's where the MVP stuff is. All right, so the default MVP soundtrack is right here. So copy that name, go to your MVP theme default, paste it, bam. Now we need the summer theme. You can scroll down, boom, it's right here. Cool summer MVP theme. Copy this name, and then we're gonna replace this file. Now Luna display match and Luna display emote lobby, we can find those two. Here it is, default emote in the match. Copy that, default emote in the match, paste that right there, and then default emote in the hero tab. Go ahead and paste that right there. Now I just now noticing myself that I forgot to grab the bank files for these, and so I'm gonna just check what I grabbed, right? So we grabbed this one out of here, the emote in the match and the emote in the lobby. So I'm gonna copy the name of this file, copy that, go to Fmodel, search it up, paste, hit enter, and boom. So we got 2 of these as well. Open up the full window. And now you see one says pack chunk wise at the bottom and one says patch, right? So you want to extract the one that says patch and then extract or export as a raw bank. Now, if for some reason, I've never seen this before, but if some reason there's 3 files, you want to grab the patch windows that has the bigger number at the end. So this number is 1.1.2128 blah, blah, blah. If there's a patch that says 1.1.3, grab that one. All right. Yeah, so we grabbed the default costume, and then we also grabbed the cool summer costume MVP theme. So go ahead, copy this file name too. Copy that. Go to Fmodel. Oops. Paste that joint, press enter, click on it, open up the full window, and boom, it's right here. Export raw data as a bank. Go open a little folder. You go grab both these joints because we just exported them. Minimize, minimize, original banks folder, and paste both of those in here. So now we have 4 banks in here. That's what we need, you know, for this to make this mod that I'm doing for the example. All right. Now at this point, when you have every one of your custom Wems renamed with the proper ID, you're pretty much ready to go. Oh, and you have, you know, the right Bnk files in here. You're ready to go. So you're gonna click. Actually, there should be one still open. Yeah, I still got this open. All right. So I'm gonna press enter, go back to the main menu. I'm gonna press 1, hit enter, and I'm just gonna hit 1 again. Let it rock. All right, boom. Now you're going to see this folder was created. Your modded bank is here. And you can see all 4 bank files ended up here. So that means all 4 of these have at least one custom Wem file inside, right? For the next step, we heading on over back to the internet. Yes, sir. Now this time we're going to download Repak Rivals, okay? Like I said, in this video, I'm showing you how I do it. Some people download Repak GUI. I don't. I download Repak CLI. So that's what we're gonna do. So scroll down and you see the zip x64 Windows. If you're on Linux, then sure, get the Linux one, but I'm gonna get the one for Windows, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to put it in my little Rivals test folder somewhere. How about here? Cool. Let that finish. Open up the folder. I'm going to right click, extract all. Yep. And I'm just going to change this to Repak. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing it because I don't like all them numbers and stuff. Okay, so we have Repak right here. Now, if you go to the SoundKit and Mar download and the 3 extra folder, I'm going to have an audio mod folder here. I'm going to copy that, place it into the Repak folder. All right, cool. So for this next step, we're going to be copying the folder path of where these banks were located in Fmodel. I already made a folder that does that, but I'm gonna just show you the process anyway in case something changed in the future with the game. So inside of here, we have a Marvel folder. Inside of Fmodel, we have a Marvel folder. Inside of here, we have content. Inside of here, we have content. Inside of here, we have Wise Audio. Inside of here, we have Wise Audio. Inside of there, we got Chinese, English, Japanese. Inside of here, Chinese, English, Japanese. Now, before we move forward, you can see there's a number right next to this Wise Audio thing, 419. Might be a bigger number in a future update, might not, whatever. Go to the top right and click Packages, 419 packages. Now, this is where all of the sound effect files are going to go. So bank display and bank SFX. And then these other ones, I'm not going to talk about them right now, but yeah. So we have a bank SFX and we have 2 bank displays. You guys are first halfies, so there's more to this, but I'm just going to leave it here. All you got to do, drag and drop, okay? Drag that and drop it. That's it. And now we're going to back out, and then we're going to go into the English folder because we have an English voice bank, right? And you can see that is in here as well. Bank VO 1031001. We're going to go into the English folder here and drop that in there. All right. Now back out. I'm going to minimize this. Next, you want to grab the audio mod folder and drag it onto the repakmod.bat file. And that's going to create a .pack file. All right. It's going to have the same name as your folder, but it's going to add this _9s and the _p. So you could change everything in front of the _9 to whatever you want. So I'm going to just change this to dirty work. All right. Just make sure that you keep the _9s, _p at the end. Now it's time to install the mod. So go to Steam, go to Marvel Rivals, Manage, Browse Local Files, Marvel Game, Marvel, Content, Packs, and then in here you're going to make a new folder, tilde or the little squiggly line, and then mods, and then go in there. Let me minimize this. Go in there and drop your .pack file. Now there's one more step that we got to do. Head on over to the internet, and we're going to want to download this signature bypass file. Link is in the description, of course. If you don't have a Nexus account, go ahead and make one because you need that to download files. So we're going to download this. Save as. We'll just put it in here right quick. Minimize. Now extract it into a folder. So we're going to go back to Steam. Right click, manage, browse local files. And then we're gonna go to Marvel game, Marvel, binaries, Win64, and then copy the plugins and the DSound DLL and drag it into here. Obviously I already have these, so I'm just gonna replace the files that I got. And then at this point, you are ready to boot the game with your mod. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and see if my mods worked. All right, now we in the game and we can check out the MVP first. So let's see. All right, that one worked. All right, that one worked. The emote. And that worked too. Easy, 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 easy. Now let's get into a practice range and test out the ultimate stuff. All right, we got the ult. Let's pop it.
Better run now, you runt!
Cool. The voice worked and the music worked. All right, cool, cool, cool. Now let's test out the reload.
Reloading.
Boom, man, it's too easy. Come on.
Reloading.
It's too easy.
Reloading.
Reloading. Yes, sir. And that's it for the first half, man. If you just showed up to replace Luna's ult, you pretty much know everything you need to know at this point. Like I said, I split it into 2 halves, so all the TikTok brain bastards could get up out of here now that they got their information. The rest of y'all that want to know more advanced tricks and all that stuff, let's move on. All right, so before we do anything, let's go ahead and hit up CVS, open up the script, and do number 101. We're just gonna let that rock. Might take like 40 minutes. So I don't really have a plan for how I'm gonna do this next part, but I'm just gonna go. So first I'm gonna show you guys how SMT organizes files with option 1. Let me just show you because the explanation might be kind of buns, but anyways, so we have 4 files in here, right? Bank VO, bank SFX, display, blah blah blah. This next part will be mainly focused on bank VO, but whatever, let's just move on. So I'm gonna type 1 in here and I'm gonna do 2. Now what 2 does is, as you can see, it extracts all the sound files that are in these banks and puts them into their own folder so you can individually, you know, listen to them. So let's just go ahead and hit 2, press enter, and let it rock. And you will see this folder appear. The 4 your extracted banks are here. And we're gonna wait for it to finish. It shouldn't take that long. And boom. So once it finished, it renamed all of these folders. Now you might be wondering, oh, how did it know that this was the default Luna costume? Like that's the voice for that costume, or like that's the sound effects for that costume. Well, we actually have a list. So if you go into the CVS folder and then extra and then character ID list, you will see that all of the character IDs are here, as well as their costume numbers too. So what do I mean by character ID and costume ID? Well, let's just go to Luna Snow. So her base character ID is a 4-digit number. So 1031 is Luna Snow's base ID. The costume ID is the 3 extra numbers at the end. So you see this says Luna Snow default bank VO 1031-001, and over here you can see 1031-001. It says Luna Snow default. So the script will read that number and then it'll read this name and attach the name to the folder. You see the Luna Snow Cool Summer is 1031-303. If you look on the list, 1031-303, Luna Snow Cool Summer. Simple. Now, as you may have noticed, the bank VO and then with the number on the end, that's the same name from these bank files. So let's say in a future game update, there's a bank SFX 10404, right? And that's Luna Snow's flaming hot costume for some reason. I don't know. But we don't have that in here, 1031-404. So if you want to add that so that it could be renamed just like these folders, you just add it. 1031 404 colon Luna Snow Flaming Hot. For some reason she has a Flaming Hot costume. Hit save and then run the same, you know, option 2 that we just did, and it's going to give you that rename folder with Luna Snow Flaming Hot in the name. Now realistically, you're going to have to, you know, get actual costume numbers from somewhere. You have 2 options. So first, you can go to mod documentation, info and overview, and then check out the character IDs list. Character IDs. And here will be a giant list of all of the character IDs, the base ID, and then the costume IDs. Now this big old list is going to be updated every half a season. However, Alarica claims, I don't know if she capping or not, but she claims that she's gonna put, you know, new skins in this thread more often. So if you need something that's like brand spanking new and don't want to wait till the half season mark, she's most likely gonna have it here. So you could just copy, you know, this ID number, and copy that name. I probably already have this, but let me just put it anyway. Paste, put a colon right here, and then Luna Snow, parenthesis, and then parenthesis on the other side. And that's the easiest way to just add a, you know, a costume that you might not have in the TXT already, something that's new. I know this is a costume for Luna Snow because the first 4 numbers are her character ID, 1031. Same thing with everybody else. Black Widow 1033, that's her character ID number. So 1033 300, 1033 500, 1033 501 is all costumes for Black Widow. So for the second method, let's say we didn't have the cool summer listed here. We didn't have 1031 303 listed here, right? Let me just erase that for the visual learners. All right, so you're gonna go to Fmodel, go to Marvel, Content, Marvel, Characters, and then we're gonna look for 1031 because that's Luna Snow's, you know, base character ID number, right? And then inside of there will be numbers for every costume. So we see that we already have 1031-001, so we don't need to look in this folder. We already have 100, 300, 301, 302, 304, 306, 307, right? So 303 is the only one that we don't have listed, right? So we're going to open this. We're going to go to Meshes, and then we're going to click on the SK 4-letter, you know, ID number, 4 letters.
You gotta be a complete fucking idiot.
4 number ID, and then 7 number ID. Double click that, and it's going to open a model viewer. And here you can clearly see that this is the cool summer outfit, you know, that we're missing. So we're going to X that out and then add that number. What was it? 1031-303. Cool. So 1031-303 Luna Snow Cool Summer. Now we have Luna Snow Cool Summer listed. So our, you know, our bank file that before didn't have a name attached will now have this cool summer name attached. Simple, simple, simple. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Some stuff in here is probably still labeled like placeholder. Yeah, placeholder skin. I might fix that in the future, or you can do it yourself. Also at the bottom there's a list of NPCs. So if you could read, I know you guys can, you're in the second half of the video. Do not add NPC underscore to the name of any NPCs that don't have voice files in BankVO NPC. So what that means is pretty much all of these 8,000 guys, all of their voice lines are in this file, this BankVO NPC. However, there are some NPCs that aren't in that file. For instance, Galacta is BankVO system and BankVO tutorial level. Ultron Drone, let me add that right now. Ultron Drone is BankVO 4019.001.bank. So these guys, they have their own separate bank files. So because of that, we did not add NPC to the front of their names. Okay, everybody else that's in this file, you can add NPC to the front of their names. Don't worry about these guys or her. Master Weaver, I think he's in this BankVO, but yeah, so just follow the directions. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to hit save and then X this out, and I'm going to minimize this as well. Next, I am going to explain how these extracted bank files are laid out. So let me just click in here, and you can see there's a bunch of folders. Yeah, there's a bunch of folders. So pretty much it's copying the layout of what we got from CVS. So I'm gonna go to the English folder and go down to Luna Snow, and boom, it's practically the same thing. Ignore the 301 and the breath for now. So you see ability. So in here are the abilities, like what she says when she does an ability. So everything is labeled according to the PC controls. So you see right, that is the right click. You see shift, that is when you press shift. You see E, that's when you press E. So the abilities are, you know, obviously assigned to default keys, and these voice lines will be labeled to match that. So I don't play her at all.
How? You're frozen! How? You're frozen!
Alright, so as you can see, the right correlated to her right click attack and the voice line that she says when she does it. So yeah, the folders are organized into kind of like vaguely named things. Like Q, I know is for ultimates because you press Q, you know, when you pop your ult.
It's the grand!
Yeah. Health packs, picking up a health pack, escorting, probably, you know, escorting the payload, etc., etc. You guys can figure that out on your own time. What I want to talk about is the unknown folder. Now, if you used an older version of my tool, you probably remember when you tried to extract a bank voice file, the audio clips in there were like a split second long. It sounded something like this. In the latest version, I fixed it by doing this. So first I have you execute CVS so you can get the full audio clips, and then I have the bank files check the IDs of whatever is in there. Let's say, so let me grab this ID, and then it matches it with the ID in here in CVS.
I am ready to put on a
And then it pulls that whole voice line and puts it in the extracted folder.
I am ready to put on a
That's why I have you guys set up CVS as the very first step now, okay? Always do that. Now, with that being said, there is an unknown folder for a reason. Now, first of all, these are unknown because there is no matching Wem ID in the CVS folder. No match. Let me search this one up. No match. So it's unknown because we literally do not know what the name of this file would be. Secondly, the split-second audio clips that are in the unknown folder are unused, okay? If you mod this, it will not show up in the game. I believe these are placeholders that will be turned into full audio clips in, you know, the next update or the next season or something like that. So for now, you do not have to worry about split-second audio clips that are in the unknown folder. Lastly, there are some full clips in here. These clips are like the breath you take when you jump, like when you go huh, huh, huh. The breath you take when you get hit, when you're like and you know the exhale you make when you die and you go stuff like that. Those will be in the unknown folder. All we know is the ID, the script it needs. So you see this says quick, this folder says quick. That's because there's a quick in the name, but because we can't find a name for it, it's just going to be in the unknown folder. Stuff like that. Alright, does it make sense? Now, while I am still on the topic of voices, let me grab her display breath, because that is also technically a voice file. Grab that. Let's go ahead and extract it. Put that in there. Run the script. Quick side note. So you remember I renamed that one to 1031.404 about the flaming hot thing. That doesn't exist, obviously. So there's no name being attached to that folder. So I can just delete that. And then if you extract the same file twice, the old one will be renamed to _old1 or _old2. You know, if you have a 1 already, stuff like that. So it doesn't overlap. But let me just delete these right quick. Alright, so now we have a Luna Snow bank display breath file. And what that is it's like the exhales and stuff she makes when she emotes. when you pick your character, like in the hero information screen. When you go to like the matchmaking main menu thing. And when you click on a character when you're selecting them in the match. You guys can figure out which file is exactly which sound. I'm not going to go into detail with that. But that was bank display breath. Now breath is the same as voice files. They have their own language. So there's a Chinese bank display breath, a Japanese bank display breath, and an English one. Now bank display, okay, no breath at the end, that is a sound effect file. So it has no language folder. Now I already kind of explained what this is when I was looking at the spreadsheet. You know, it has the MVP themes in it. Yeah, that. So MVP themes, you know, like emote sound effects and all this other stuff. You can figure out what all this junk stands for. Like I said, I don't really play that game that much, but yeah, there's an unknown folder in here. However, because it's a sound effect, every unknown sound in here is the full clip. The split second stuff is only an issue with the bank VO. So even the bank display breath doesn't have that split second issue. But I wanted to point out the display stuff because there are some situations where there is no MVP folder, but we know that the character has an MVP theme. So for example, let's go to the display folder and we go to Hulk Green Scar. Now as you can see, he does not have an MVP folder, but we know he has an MVP theme. So because he does not have an MVP folder, we have to go and check his extracted bank file. Now I extracted it off camera, so we're just gonna go in here and it's gonna be in the unknown folder. That's where his MVP theme is gonna be. Now you can find it easily by sorting by size. It's most likely gonna be the biggest one. So let's play it. Yep, that sounds just like it. Another thing I want to point out with the Hulk and maybe some other characters is that they do have a quote-unquote voice in the sound effect folder. Well, this is the bank display folder, but yeah, bank display is usually full of sound effects. And it's this one right here. So I only found that out for the Hulk. I don't know if other characters might have that as well, but just pointing it out. Before I wrap this up, I want to point out some new stuff that they added in season 3, I believe, and it's still kind of new to me. So they added in the language folders, they added a bank display VO, a couple of these. I've never seen this before, but what I did was I extracted them off camera, and it appears that these are just like speeches given during emotes.
Just call me Captain Clintar.
So
I was overdue for an upgrade. Just call me Captain Clintar. I was overdue for an upgrade.
So that appears to be the gist of these bank display VO files. Like I said, you could peruse through these things yourself. I'll pass on that. I'm just trying to get this tutorial done. One more thing they added in season 3, and I think this was a mistake, is these bank VO 01, 02, 03, and 11, 12, 24, all that stuff. These are Jean Grey's damage voice clips. So like when you get hit, and when you die, that's what these are. Now I was able to, well, first of all of these contain the exact same files. I opened up all of them and they all have the same files in them. So I just edited the first one, bank VO01, and it changed, you know, all her damage stuff. So I'm pretty sure you can just edit this single file and it'll cover the rest of these. Like I said, I think this is a mistake. I think in season, you know, whatever, season 3.5 or whatever, the next major update, they're going to put, you know, all of these into one file, probably 1054 since that's her ID. But yeah, until then, you can just edit bank VO01 and that'll, you know, handle that. And I think that's all I have to say for bank stuff. There's like this UI Winter Festival. There's a bunch of stuff I didn't cover. I'm not going to cover it because I have not looked inside of all of these files personally. That's for you to explore and all that stuff on your own time. But yeah, I think we're done with this section. This next part is going to address an issue that is specifically in Season 3. So NetEase decided to change some of the ID numbers for some of the Wem files. So let's say you made an ultimate mod last season and you tried to make it this season with like the newest character, you know, voice bank file. Either it wouldn't work, or when you got in the game, the ultimate, like, it only played like half a second and then it cut off. That is because NetEase changed some of the ID numbers. Now, as you can see, it wasn't just for the ultimates. It was also for other files too. Again, I don't know why they did this, but I had to figure out a way to get us back on track. So what I did was I created option 1 and then this option 3 to update old voice Wem IDs, then create a modded bank file. So first I'm going to show you what happens if you use an old Wem ID on a new bank and then try to process it. So pretty much they got moved to this error folder, 200, 204, Wems with no bank match, because those Wem IDs no longer exist in that bank. So we had to update them pretty much. I'm going to copy all of these, cut it, and put it back into put custom Wems here. But this time I'm going to choose option 1 and then option 3, update old voice Wem IDs. So I'm going to press enter and let it rock. And boom, I don't know if you noticed, but the ID number changed here, and now we have successfully created our modded bank for bank VO 1024. That's hella. And just to double check that we modded that file, let me just copy one of these ID numbers, copy, go to the original right quick, Control F to search. As you can hear, it's a split-second clip. And we go to the modded bank. Search it.
Lazy bum. You are still on the clock, lazy bum.
It was successfully changed. Let me go click on that one just to show y'all.
Lazy bum.
Yep, so that's that, but let me show you something else because this part is important too. So the way this thing figures out what the new ID number is that it'll take the ID from the old file. Let me just copy this number. All right. And then it goes into CVS extra subs old. In here is all the subtitles next to their file name, just like we had on the spreadsheet. So it'll search for that Wem ID from the old file, and you see it has the ID in the front and then VO and then a second 8-digit number. This 8-digit number does not change between seasons. So far, NetEase could switch up on us out of nowhere. I hope not. But this ID number, the second one, does not switch. So it copies that ID and then it goes to the subs new folder and then it goes into that same file and it searches for that secondary ID. And when it does, boom, it finds a match for the new ID that you need. And we go into the folder right quick, the Wems folder, boom, 3834075. That is the new ID. This is how this works. I hope that was a good enough explanation, because yeah, I don't think I could explain it any better or simpler than that. By default, as you saw, I only have the English folder in here. If you're working with Japanese or Chinese files, just grab the JA for Japanese or one of these Hans files. I forgot which one it was, but probably just throw all three of them in there. So throw all the old Japanese and Chinese folders in the subs old folder, and then throw all the Japanese and Chinese new folders in the subs new folder. Now, why is this relevant for you? I'm about to show you. Alright, so let me check if this stuff is finished, and boom. What's it say at the bottom? Yep, text file decoding complete, process blah blah file successful blah blah. Press enter to continue. And don't worry about these little squares on the screen. That's normal because it's Chinese characters, I think. And we go ahead and minimize this and check out what we got. So inside of this subtitles are here folder, we have all the subtitles. So we'll go in English, and we did option 101. So that gave us the full file that has the file names and the subtitles right next to them. That gave us a file that just has the file names, which I use this to update the spreadsheet, and one with just the subtitles. I use this as well to update the spreadsheet. So when there's a new season or a new character update or whatever, there's obviously going to be more subtitles, right? So what you want to do is in a search bar, type tilde or the squiggly line equals en.j. This will give you all of the files that are both the file name and the subtitles combined. So these right here, right? File name and the subtitles combined. And then you're going to take that, you're going to go to the subs new folder, and then you're just going to paste them all in here. Boom. But yeah, so that'll give you all the newest files, newest subtitles, and all that stuff, and most importantly, the newest references for the Wem ID updater. Now, hopefully in the next season, they don't switch up the Wem IDs again, but hey, we're gonna see, bro. The next section is going to deal with errors. So let me open up this, drag these in, and drag these in. So choose option 1, choose option 1 again, and boom, you're starting to see errors. All right, so let's see what it says. So first of all, 203 invalid name Wems are here. So this file right here, sfds blah 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 blah, it does not have a valid name in the front. So this in front of the hyphen, that is not a number. That's not a decimal number, right? So that got sent to an error folder, invalid name. Now files in 202 duplicate ID Wems, that is because the Wem ID in the front of both of these files is technically the same number. So this bottom one is the decimal version, and the top one is the hexadecimal version. If you have the same number in decimal and hexadecimal, it's going to give you this error and move your files out, and you won't be able to make the mod until you choose one of these. Last one, 204 Wems with no bank match. This file does not exist in any of these bank files. So this ID number, it does not exist in any of these bank files. So it couldn't find a match, and that's why it sent it to this 204 folder. There may be times when the errors goof up and put the wrong file in the error folder. Hey, I'm only one person. I can only bug test so much. So if something like that happen, y'all bring it to my attention. I'll see what's going on. Now from here, we are going to move on to the extra functions. All right. So let me just back out of here. I should minimize this too. Extra functions, right? And we're going to start off with option 102, which is something I just found out. Matter of fact, I should add experimental to the side of this, but I just found this out, and this is probably the best discovery I done made, period, in sound modding. The period, 2 periods, all right? So what do I mean by special Wems? Well, I'm going to show you. If we go into Fmodel, go to Marvel, Content, Marvel, Wise, Assets, Wise Events, Characters, and then we pick a character. Obviously, I'm going to go Luna. And then we pick a costume. I'm going to just go to her default costume. So in here, you will see all of the sounds that Luna has. So her voice files right here. Ability sound effects, her display breath stuff, the regular display stuff, Foley, Impact, Interactive. We are not here for vocal because we already got that stuff labeled. Breath and display, those are pretty much all labeled as well. There's some extra labeled stuff in here, but it's not really important. What's really the focus of the section is the ability and the Foley, Impact, and Interactive. You can look at that on your own time. I don't care. Ability and Foley. First, I'm going to explain what Foley is. So Foley is like when an actor makes a sound effect, like for a movie or a game or whatever. So say you're watching a 2D movie, right? And your character, the character in the movie is taking footsteps, and you hear the footsteps. That can be an actor like physically stepping on something and like holding the microphone to their foot, so it picks up the sound. That's pretty much what Foley is. So I haven't really delved, whatever the word is, too deep into this. I just know that FTP is footstep. And I know that jump is obviously jumping. And landing, turn. It's like the turn is like her clothes rustling or whatever, stuff like that. But you get the idea. So that's what Foley is. What I'm most likely going to spend most of my time on is ability. So like I explained earlier, these are labeled after their keyboard buttons. So left is left click, E is the E button, Q is, you know, Q ultimate, R reload, etc, etc, etc. Now obviously here we'll be able to, well, first of all, listen to every file that plays during, say, a left click release. So like firing the left click. Hold on. All right, so that's Luna's, you know, sound effect when she shoots pretty much her primary fire. And I mean, that pretty much explains all of these. Like, you click it and you hear the sound that, you know, represents that button press on the keyboard, and there you have it. There's your sound. Now, you heard that last one. That was like, it just sounded like a vibration, like boom, boom. I think that's exactly what that is. I ran across this when I was modding Stellar Blade, and it's like an extra sound. Like, I didn't need to mod it in order to, you know, replace whatever sound I wanted to. So I don't know what it's for, but I guess you don't have to pay attention to it. I believe most of these files are going to have like an accompanying, you know, vibration noise. I don't think it serves any purpose, you know, for us, like just replacing files. All right, so we see the file, we see the file name, and we see the number at the end. Now what? Let me close this right quick and show you something. So if I open this back up, and you see this side, this like started to play, but it stopped. So any file that plays in this media folder, or this little media window thing, it'll change from a WEM file to a WAV file. So you see the only one that played was the WAV, and everything else is still a WEM. If I let this finish and play the second one, boom, it turned into a WAV file. I don't know why it does this. I'm not gonna speculate, I don't care. But when you turn a WEM into a WAV here, it automatically gets output into the export folder. So let me just go to that right quick. We go to exports, Marvel, content, Wise Audio, Bank SFX, and boom, I cleared out the footstep stuff that I played. Don't worry about that. Just focus on this, all right? Now let me show you a trick to export all of the sounds in this folder at one time. So I'm gonna X this out. I'm gonna click the top one. We don't gotta worry about the motion. Just click the top SFX. Go to the bottom, hold shift and click. And then right click and do extract and extract. And that will open every single sound in the media player, right? So I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna do save playlist. All right, and you see down here it says successfully saved 127 audio files. If we check in that output folder now, where's it at? Boom, there's a crap ton of files in here. So first what you want to do is convert any sounds that were waves into WEM. So we're going to type squiggly line equals dot wave. That's going to give us these. We're going to copy and we're going to put it in 0, put custom waves here, paste that, do option 0, and boom. So now if we check the put custom WEMs here folder, and now we can delete these out of here, and then Control A, drag everything over to here, replace anything that needs to be replaced. And now you want to grab everything, Control A, all right, cut it, go to 100 extras are here, 102 rename file stuff, and then put files to rename here. The reason we are doing this is because currently the WEM ID number is in the back of the name surrounded by parentheses. But in order to make our mods, we need that number at the front of the name separated by a hyphen. So we're going to go back to the script. All right, go back to the main menu, do option 102, press enter again, let it cook. And then if we go to the B rename files are here folder, Luna Snow default. All right, all right. And now we see everything is categorized into, you know, their button folder. So R, reload, right click, shift, Q, passive ability. You get the idea, right? So now you can see the Wem ID number is at the front, separated by a hyphen, and that is exactly the format we need to make our mods. Now let's say I want to replace all of her, you know, left click, you know, shooting sound effects, right? So I know these by heart, but you could just click on each file to see what sound it is. Anyways, I'm gonna copy these and I'm gonna show you something along the way. So I'm gonna replace these with one sound effect, right? So I'm gonna go to 105, replaced Wem stuff. Now I'm going to put Wems to replace here. So I want to replace all three of these. Boom, I'm gonna put them there. Then I'm going to go to my custom file. Boom. Okay, Luna SFX shoot. I want to replace all three of those files with this one. So first of all, this is the WAV file, so I need to convert it to a Wem. So I'm gonna paste it there. Go to the main menu, press 0, enter, let it cook, and then I'm gonna get my file out of 2, put custom Wems here. You see it's a Wem file now. I'm gonna take that, go back to 100, 105, and then put the replacement Wem here. So this is where you're gonna put the file that you want those other files to be now.
What? Huh?
Are y'all following along? I'm gonna have to put the little what video right there.
What?
All right, so we go back to the main video. We go back to the main menu. All right, we press 105 and then hit enter, and then hit enter again. And now in the see your new replace Wems are here folder, you see all three of those files, but now they have the sound effect of my custom audio. All right, that's one. So this just saves you some time from having to manually, you know, copy your custom file 100 times and then pasting it. This is good for replacing footsteps if you just want to do all footsteps all at once type of deal. All right, so I'm gonna put it in the custom Wems place. I already have my Luna Snow default costume SFX bank here, and I'm going to go back to the main menu, press 1 again. All right, now I have my modded bank. I'm gonna go do the repack steps and then test it in the game. Now, as you may have heard, my mod did show up and it did take effect. However, there were some other sound effects that were playing at the same time, so I couldn't clearly hear my mod all the way. So one solution to that is to mute those files. So I'm gonna go back to the 102 rename files, Luna Snow, left click. I'm going to pretty much grab everything here except for what I used for the mod, which was I think this one, and that one. So I'm gonna grab all these and I'm gonna take it to 104 silent Wem stuff, right? Gonna put Wems to silence in here. So I want to silence all of these. I'm gonna put it in there, and then back at the script, gonna go back to the main menu, and I'm gonna choose option 104, create silent files. Press enter again, and then in the your new silence Wems are here folder, it's gonna be a bunch of silent Wems. So I'm gonna copy those, put it in the custom Wems folder, and then go back to main menu, press 1, enter, 1 again to make another modded bank, but this time it's going to have those silence files, and boom, got my modded bank. I'm going to do the repack stuff again and try one more time. Just a side note, when you're doing the repack stuff, if you still have the first pack that you made, like when you drag this onto the bat file, make sure you either delete this or remove it, because if you leave it there and you try to drag it back onto the bat file, it's going to say a duplicate file name exists or the file cannot be found. It's going to make your pack file, but it's not going to have the 999 and the _p at the end. You can manually add it, but I'm lazy and I'd rather just delete it and run it back. So drag it over the bat, and then boom, now I have the 999 and the _p. So as you just heard, pretty much every left click sound besides the shooting one is muted. And so now I can hear my, custom audio clearly without anything else getting in the way. Alright, so I'm actually coming back after I had finished recording the video to show you this part, and it is about option 103, creating test files. Before I had a weak example, and now I'm going to show you one that's way better. So I already extracted Captain America's default sound effects for like his default costume, right? And I got all the Wem files. Obviously they're unknown, so I'm just going to search Wem, copy all of these, close this, go to the 100 extras folder, and then 103 test Wem stuff. And I'm going to place all of these in the put Wems to test here. Oh, erase this. Put Wems to test here, right? Boom, boom, boom. Let me make sure this is empty too. Alright, and then I'm going to do option 103, press enter. Oops, press enter again. And boom, you see in the your new test Wems are here folder, it populated this with all the new test Wems. So all of these files are going to have a dash test and then a number. Now this test 27, this means that this audio file is just a person saying 27. So let me click it.
27.
Boom. And that's the same thing for the rest of these files. 106, 190, all that jazz. So I'm going to copy all of these. I'm going to go and put them in the put your custom Wems here folder. Let me get rid of this. Paste it. And then I'm going to just make a bank file like usual. So option 1 and then 1 again. Let it rock. Now I have my modded Captain America sound effects file. I'm going to go put it through Repak, make the mod, and then boot into the game. Alright, so we are in the match. Now, why did I replace all of his sounds with test files? This is because I'm trying to figure out what sound effect plays at the very beginning of his ultimate, because I want to replace it with music. Now for somebody like Luna Snow, it's easy to replace her ultimate with music because her ultimate comes with music. But for other characters like Captain America and others, they only have sound effects. So first we need to figure out what sound effect plays first when he activates his ultimate, and then secondly we need to find out what sound effect will last if we replace it with music, because some sound effects only allow like a maximum of 3 seconds of custom audio. Some allow a maximum of 15 seconds. Others you can put a whole symphony on there and it won't end. So what I'm going to do now is activate his ultimate, listen to the first number that plays, and then write that down. I don't have to worry about any number that plays after that. I'm just worried about what happens in the beginning.
82 and 98.
Alright, so the first number I heard was 82. So I wrote that down, and now we're going to try again to see if a different number pops up.
335.
Alright, now the first number I heard was 335. Now we're going to try one more time to see if we get a different number.
364.
So this time I heard 364. I wrote all 3 of those numbers down, and now we're going to go back to the files. Alright, so our numbers were 82, 364, and 335. So I'm going to go to the custom Wems folder where I put all the test stuff. I'm going to do squiggly line equals test 82. Alright, so that's this number right here. I'm going to just copy this, drag it over here right quick. I'm going to do squiggly line test 335. That was this file. I'll grab it, paste it over here, and then test 364. That was this file. So we'll copy it, just paste it over here right quick. Alright, so these are the files that I suspect of being able to replace them with music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow, I'm going to borrow some of my little example music themes, place them over here, turn them into Wem files right quick. Let me empty this folder actually so it doesn't get too crowded. Alright, so main menu, option 0, convert those to Wem, and then that's done. I'm going to copy the names of that test 82 file, that test 36 file or 364 file, and that test 335 file. put them on there, and then I'm gonna make a bank again. So 1, 1. All right, that's finished. Got my modded bank. Now I'm gonna take this to Repak, make a mod, and then boot back in the game. All right, so we are back in the match, and we're about to test if my replacement music worked. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, boom, it worked. Now, as you could tell, the audio is a little sped up. That's just how the game manipulates that sound. So you're gonna have to adjust your custom audio to match it. Maybe slow it down a little bit, and that way when it plays in game, it gets sped up to the normal speed. Now let's try again. All right, boom. That was the second song. Now let's see if the third one shows up. And there you have it, folks. A perfect example of using the test files to figure out how to mod ultimates, or, you know, whatever you want to do. Coming back to add this note. So when I tried to replace his sound effects with like 3-minute long songs, it did not work. Okay, I had to cut the songs down to like 15 or 20 seconds. So just be aware that if your file is too long, then it might not even show up at all, and you got to cut it down a little bit. Now that we can go into Fmodel and look at the sound effects and their ID numbers specifically, the test files aren't really that useful, but it's there if you want to try it. Let me just cover the rest of these right quick. So the breath is pretty much useless for us because let me pause that, save. And so the reason why is, first of all, it creates this Luna Snow folder. There are no IDs on any of these Wems, so we can't use that for anything. And the rest of everything else is from the Chinese files. So if we're working with English, then this is going to do nothing for us pretty much. So display is kind of useful a little bit. So let me extract everything. What this does is pretty much just, well, first of all, it makes this Marvel SFX folder. Same deal as the other thing. There's no numbers at the end, so we can just go ahead and delete that. But it pretty much adds a name to every single display file, except for 2. But let me just show you. So we have an unknown folder. If we extracted this normally, it would be an unknown folder, you know, full of some Wem files. This will put a name to almost all of these. Now there are 2 in here that still don't have a name. I don't know what they're used for, but you know, just FYI, just FYI. So if you really need a name on the files, then sure, you can do this, and then yeah, but not super useful. Impact, this will give you an ID because it's an SFX file, and interactive, same deal, it'll give you an ID. Both of these are like the sound of your attack, you know, impacting something or like interacting with something.
This cannot be.
So say like if your attack hits a person, then like that's that's what these sounds are. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. And then vocal is the same deal as breath. It's going to give us a couple of useless folders, and then the rest of it will be in a Chinese folder, which we can't use if we're using English files. So that's pretty much the rundown on all of that. Now the last feature of the script that I'm going to show you is Wem isolation. So let's say you downloaded a mod, you know, a couple of sounds are cool, a couple of them aren't, and you want to take those cool sounds, you know, separate them so you can put it into your own, you know, custom bank or whatever. I'm about to show you how to do that. So for my example, I'm going to use, let's see, mod to isolate. So the atom, you need a little revive, ultimate, and I'm going to use my own foul mouth hella mod, right? And so the first thing we need is to put both of the modded bank files from these in here, in this folder. Now, right now, they are pack files because I just downloaded them off of Nexus, right? So I'm going to, let's see, open up Repak. So I'm going to grab both of these, put them in here. Actually, let me copy them in case I mess up. Paste that back there. All right. So I'm going to drag the atom alt onto unpack.bat. Run it. And then you can see it created a folder, right? Now I'm going to do the same thing with the hella mod. unpack.bat, and it created a folder, right? So I'm going to open put modded bank here. I'm going to click through this, put the modded bank there, go back, go to the Atom folder, click all the way through, put the modded bank in there. Now we need a vanilla bank. So what do we have? 1024 and 1046. We need a 1024 vanilla bank and a 1046 vanilla bank. So export raw data, and then 1024 export raw data. Open up the output folder, and we can drag both of those into the vanilla bank folder. All right, boom. So now we set up. I'm gonna go to the script, go back to the main menu, and I'm gonna type 106 for isolate custom Wems from modded banks. So 106, enter. Press enter again, let it cook. All right, now it finished. That. So we have a C modded Wems are here folder. Let me just open it up in another window. And then we have a D vanilla Wems are here. So now we check in add a warlock, and we have 2 files. Now these are both of the files that were modded in that mod. Everything else was not modded.
If you wanna get up,
all right, you need a little.
If you wanna get up, you need a little revive.
All right, cool. And the vanilla Wems, these are literally going to be the vanilla Wems. So whatever file was replaced in here, the vanilla version will be here. This is so you know what sound clip exactly was replaced.
Born again! Born! Rise, my friend!
All right, so both of those were replaced. Now it should end up just as clean as this, all right? Only the modded files extracted, only, the vanilla files extracted. However, in some cases, there may be, leftover split-second files in here. Obviously, they'll be a split second long, so those are not the modded files. So don't worry about if those are left over. The modded files should be among them, and it shouldn't be, that many files left over anyway, even if there are extras. So for example, I downloaded this mod that has not been updated since January, okay? Put the modded file in here, put the vanilla file in here, and I'm gonna run the script, option 106. When I check inside of the modded folder, I have a bunch of files, right? A bunch of 2 kilobyte files. I have my giant file, which is the modded file, and then another one, which is also a modded file. And then the rest of these are like 2 or 3 kilobytes. These are like half-second clips. You can ignore these. Obviously, the vanilla folder is going to mirror this. You can just copy the name of the modded file, search it in here to see which file exactly it replaced. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. Most likely it's going to be older mods that haven't been updated in a while, which are going to give you, this issue. But it'll be pretty clear to see what the modded file is among all these small files. Now let's go check out the Hella mod.
Odinson. At any moment, my shooters can slide on your hood. Oh.
Man, facts, boy. That boy Odinson in trouble. Let's play the vanilla.
Odinson, your realm is in peril.
Facts, boy. You better watch out. But yeah, so if this mod has a couple of files that aren't Twitch safe, okay, because they soft over there, then you can remove them and then recreate the mod, and then hey, you're gonna be good to go. Ain't gotta worry about getting banned and all that jazz. But that's pretty much what the isolate Wems is for. And hopefully that's all I have left to explain. Kind of tired, There may be instances where this just does not work. So in season 2.5, I edited Venom's bank display to put a music track over his twerk emote. However, when I ran the tool, I did not get any files. So let me just show you right quick. Check the modded folder, nothing in here. Obviously check the vanilla folder, nothing in here either. This happens because NetEase changed the Wem ID so much that it completely screws with the logic of the script. I did not notice this until I started testing and recording for the video. So I went back and I added an extra option for the extracted banks. Go to the main menu, type 1, and you can see here I added a 4th option to extract the Wems from a bank file with no replacements. So when you do number 2, it extracts all the Wems and it replaces them with the full clips that we got from CVS. Option 4, it just extracts the Wems. It does not replace anything. That way you'll be able to see all the files that were in the uploaded, mod. So I'm going to take that, where's that at? I'm going to take that modded bank out of here and put it into the original banks folder. And let me delete this one. Type 4, 1, 2, or 3. I got to add the 4 here, but yeah, just type 4, press enter, and it gets done pretty fast. Then you can go back, check the 4 your extracted banks are here, and then boom, Venom default, bank display, blah blah blah, bank streams, and now I have all of the Wems that were in that mod here. And I'm just sort by size, and most likely the modded file is going to be the biggest one in here. So let me just play it right quick. All right, I'm gonna end it short so I don't get copyright struck, but yeah, so that's how you're gonna find files. That's how you're gonna find modded Wem files that don't show up in 106. This is the longer, old way to do things, but hey, it's the only other option. One more thing I want to add. If you like to stay organized or you like your files named a certain way, you can delete everything on the right side of the hyphen and then put whatever letters or numbers you want. So let's say I like to organize my stuff by putting sound effect and then the character name, hella, and then what it's for, reload. You could rename it like this and it'll also process, the right way. Just make sure you have the Wem ID in the front and then a hyphen, and then after that, your custom name. Don't put any exclamation marks or hashtags, pounds, ampersands, all that stuff. Don't use none of that. Just letters, hyphens, numbers, and just keep it at that. One more thing. So say you extracted a bank file. For instance, I extracted Luna's voice bank, and then I go into it. I type Wem into the search bar, open up one of them, and then grab all the rest, throw it in Foobar, Control A to select everything, right click, convert, default, then pick a folder. I'm gonna just drop it here, and boom, that's gonna convert all of those Wem files into WAV files.
Arauco deserves a better front man.
So if you want to go use these for a different game, there you go. By the way, in the script, let me go back to the main menu. There's info options. I mean, you're watching a video, so I don't know why you would need to read these, but just in case, I don't know, you lost internet or something like that, you can press A or B or C or D or whatever, and you'll see, a quick description of what an option is for and how to use it, and maybe like some notes or whatever at the end. Press Z to get the link to the sound documentation sheet or a link to the Discord. And hey man, slide a brother $1 right quick, man. Hold on, let me pull it up. Let me you know, hey man, hit the PayPal right quick, man. Hit the subscribe button right quick, man. Come on. But yeah, hopefully this tool can get you whatever you're trying to get done. I spent too much time making this joint. I spent too much time recording this video. I spent too much time bug testing. And I spent too much time not playing the game because I was working on this tool. But yeah, that should be it, man. I'll catch y'all later. Hit up the Discord if you got trouble. Leave a comment or whatever. If I don't know, bro, just leave a comment. I don't like do that stuff. Like, oh, leave a comment if what you want to see next. I don't be doing that, bro. But yeah, I'll see y'all later, man.
Perfect.